All right, Megan, we're having this podcast. This one's a little weird because, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty familiar with our guest.
Well, why don't you tell everyone who it is?
I don't want to. You tell them.
Okay, today we are chatting with Tommie Runz. You might know him from the IG, the running community.
Yeah. You may have seen him on a panel at something. Somewhere.
You've probably heard his voice at some point. Tommie, welcome to the show.
I was trying to go as long as I could without saying anything, because normally I go.
I mean, you can trust me. I can keep talking. I got an hour in me.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, when you were doing like the introductions to the largest shakeout that's ever been seen on this side of like Pluto or whatever. I'm like, wow, we're gonna be here for a while. They gave him a mic.
That was insane. I mean, not the mic part, but that shakeout run, was that not insane?
Yeah, it was insane. It was as many people as I thought it would be. I think. I don't know. I didn't count everyone. I counted like half of them, but then I was like, I got distracted because they had coffee, so I went and got more.
Oh wow.
But I was doing pretty good. I think I was up to like maybe 600 something at one point counting, and then people looked the same. There was a few twins there. Did you see all the sets of twins?
I did not.
There was zero. Yeah. There was actual twins there.
No, I just feel like maybe I was like counting people double. I'm not sure. Anyway,
we
great
figured out the number was right around 1,500, which was insane for how many people were there. But we're talking about the New York City. We just got done. Tommie was just with us because this probably won't air this week, but we just finished up New York City Marathon weekend, and it was pretty sick.
Yeah, I know, Tommie, you didn't have the race day that you wanted, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I love going back to the start of everything. So talk to us about young Tommie.
Tommie Crawls.
Where'd you grow up?
Tommie Crawls. I like that one best. I was born in New York, Albany, like Poughkeepsie, New York, not Albany. Why did I say that? Poughkeepsie, New York. So it's kind of like upstate. Lived there for like 5 years. My family, both sides, are from Detroit area. My mother, my sister, and I moved back to Detroit. And so I was pretty much not born here, but raised in Detroit area, and was here forever until like 23-ish years old. But young Tommie was like, I played soccer, then I played golf for like all of high school, was on the golf team, golf, yeah, like
that's crazy, man.
You didn't know that?
Did you go to a country club?
School? Well, no, like I think like I played for, it was like a public school. I was the captain of the varsity team for like a year, for my senior year. I was actually
all right. This blows my mind. Wait a second here.
Yeah, I did not know.
So
this.
You didn't see this
Tommie
coming?
Runz. No, you can golf. Like, see, this would have been the greatest sandbag of all time. You could come out and be like, I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's put together your team against our team. We'll play some golf.
Should've.
And then you just smoke us all, and we out of nowhere it came.
Yeah, like so I kind of joke. I mean, if you're good at golf, like you're actually like good, then I wouldn't say this to you, and I could kind of tell like if someone's good or not by the way they talk about how they play. But for the most part, like if you're not like, if you're just kind of like not average or like normal, I could probably beat you like random, like I haven't played in a year.
How did you get into that? You were just like, oh, there's a golf team, I'll join it.
The stories of my life and all of the things that I've ever done, I kind of just fall into. Like my mom went to a driving range, and she was trying to like get into golfing because that was like a cool thing to do at the time. And I just picked up a club and was like bored, so I started hitting some balls out on the driving range with her. And then some guy walked by and was like, "Hey, how long?" I would think I was maybe like 12 or 13. He's like, "How long have you been playing?"
I was gonna ask, did he have one wooden hand?
He did.
Okay, I know this guy
actually. Yeah. So apparently, like he had already discovered some guy like named like Happy or something like that.
Yeah.
But so this guy walks up and he's like, "Have you how long have you been playing? I know you're young, but how long have you been playing?" And my mom's like, "Today." So he was like, "Well, that's incredible. I think you should probably try to play more often." So like I kind of like worked into it, liked doing it, was decent at it early at a younger age, so I just kept playing and then got decent, through high school. I wasn't like good enough in high school to like consider like a college. I didn't think in my mind, but I probably looking back, I probably would have been okay like at a smaller school. But I was just like so like that was like the Tiger Woods era too. So like you just had to coming up, you're like unless you go to like Harvard or Stanford or like wherever to play at the top golf school, then it doesn't matter, And I kind of just let that dream go. But I'm probably better now, like randomly, than I was when I was younger, just because of like the mental side that it takes to play like good
See?
golf,
That was me when I got into golf for a little while. And when I really cared about it, I ruined weekends. And when I stopped caring, and if I go out with friends, just hit, I'm good enough to do 18 holes. I'm not good enough that you'd be like, let's get Thomas on our foursome here for a contest or anything like that. But yeah, I can hack.
For a scramble, I think that I'd want you on the team because you're like, you got to have like the one that knows how to have fun on the group.
Yeah, and and I'm pretty good at handicap. Bring that,
exactly.
handicap down.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So you got into golf. You're doing this at school. And of course, you loved running at that time. You're like running a ton.
Yeah, no. So like running was definitely not a thing for me at all growing up. I mean, other than like soccer, but that was at a younger age. I mean, just to be honest, like there was nobody like running around like our neighborhoods or like, there wasn't really much of a model there for like running for health or wellness or whatever, So running didn't come into my life until much, much later.
That's actually a good question because like we live in Baltimore, and I feel like Detroit and Baltimore both kind of get this rap of being kind of like we're cities, but we're not like it's not like anybody's like, oh, that's a desirable city to go to.
Yeah, right.
For either one of us, which is I know for Baltimore, people are missing out. I'm sure you feel the same way about Detroit, but like where you grew up and where you lived. Like, what type of neighborhood was it? Like, what were you surrounded by?
Well, I mean, no, like my mom did a really great job, especially being a single mother, like raising two kids. Like, she did a really great job of like throwing herself into like the corporate world and like taking care of us and making sure that we had like all the opportunities possible and lived in like the best neighborhood possible for her to do. So I I went to Southfield Public School, so it's the city just outside or pretty much just north of Detroit, one of the cities north of Detroit. So like I was close enough to be mildly dangerous, you know what I mean? Like in not the environment, but like close enough in reach or like for me to like want to lean into that at a later age, which ended up coming along eventually. But it was far enough away where like I was in a really great neighborhood, very like family friendly. And it was actually a great place to live and grow up in. The school district was really great. So it was like I had all the opportunities in the world to do the right things, but like also just being so close to Detroit and like not necessarily, seeing a bunch of, like black folks that acted like how I wanted to act.
But there was something exciting and dangerous about the city.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, it was like, that's where I saw, at the time, that's where I saw us thriving at, other than like music, and I couldn't rap. So it's like, obviously, like, if I want this and that, this is the avenue that I need to go in or would like to go in because that's the most popular, like that's the cool thing to do. Even though I had no business, like she took us so far enough away from that for us to not even want to think about that. But it just seemed so appealing. So it was like close enough to be. That's why I said close enough to be dangerous. So the neighborhood was amazing. Just to be honest, and it was like if I could have my kids grow up in that same neighborhood at that same time, I would definitely do so because it was just so cool. Like we played every sport that there ever was, in the neighborhood in some way, shape, or form. I didn't play like organized sports outside of golf and soccer, but we played every other sport, and it was just a great time growing up.
You still live in Detroit, right?
No, right now I live in Novi. Just before that, I was like in Farmington Hills. So, we live Metro Detroit. Detroit's a. I lived on the west side of Detroit for quite some time after high school, until I moved out of the state once we had my daughter in 2007. So I finally moved away from all that, and it kind of like it was a really great opportunity for me to like separate from like this path that I chose, which was very destructive.
Yeah. And so that's interesting. 2007. She's got to be what, 16 now?
She's 16. Yeah, so like so
Wow.
between like I graduated high school just like I know I just skipped over a big portion. We're like Tommy crawls to like Tommy has a kid that
The
crawls.
16-year-old.
But it's like I graduated high school and was like, I just desired like that lifestyle of like being able to like have money and be cool and do the thing, have the cars and all that stuff. And unfortunately, but luckily for me at the time, like I ran into people that could end up like letting me like lean into that side of like the world and life, and was kind of like off the grid, I guess, from like maybe like 2003 to like 2007. And my mom, my girlfriend at the time, got pregnant, and we knew it was going to be a girl. And I'm like, I can't have my daughter like growing up in like the environment that I was in. Like I just couldn't. Maybe if it was a boy, like I mean, honestly, it was weird. But like if it was a boy, I maybe would have stayed there. I don't know. But like something about like it being my daughter that's going to be born into this world, I can't like have it happen here, in this situation. So I tried my best to like get out of that and like go find a job, which is very tough if you haven't been working for like 3 years. It's like hard to like walk into a good interview and like say like, hey, yeah, I just been kind of venturing around the world.
I've been building all this great stuff
for 3 years, but yeah, I've been doing some field study, like to call it, but like. My mom came to visit, and she was living in Massachusetts at the time for work. So she just saw me trying my best to like to lead a different life, and it was just very tough though. I mean, it's like I said, like that time gap is companies aren't like throwing, careers at you, just because you decided to like get back into the workforce. So she's like, hey, maybe you could start new or fresh and get away from the people that I was around. They were great people, but they just weren't into what I would probably needed to be into at the time. And so I moved and ended up working for the company in Massachusetts that I still work for till this day. So like I've been working with them for 16 plus years, and
Wow.
started as like a daily like type of coordinator, like entry level position for this vehicle shipping company. And to now I'm one of the 2 vice presidents of the company. So it's been a crazy, crazy journey, from like 2007 to now. So yeah, it's been nuts.
That is crazy.
That's wild. One of my questions was going to be do you have a full-time job? Because I think people look at you on Instagram and just assume that that's your life.
I mean, I don't even know if the people that I work with know if I have a full-time job or not. But yeah, I have a full-time job. I work for a company that's called Reload Trans. It's a vehicle shipping company that like ships vehicles for corporate relocating employees. So when Believe in the Run continues to build and explore different avenues, one day you're like, hey, we're going to hire somebody and move them to California. To head up the west coast of, Believe in the Run, then, maybe you guys would hire a company, and that company would have my company as their vehicle shipping company.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. So where I first came in contact with you was during COVID. Everybody was kind of like, we were all like, hey, this sucks. And what are we going to do? We're going to go online. Running still was one of those things that you could do during COVID, so you could talk about it and do it. And I think I came across, I don't even know how we came across each other, but I was kind of like doing Instagram lives. I'm not sure if you came on mine or I went on yours, but we hooked up. And at that time, you were kind of doing a clothing thing, a gear more of a gear thing. And I think you still do it, but it seems to have kind of less focused than it was back then. Are you still making apparel and doing that?
Well, I don't make anymore, but I mean, I still have some here and there. And people reach out, and then I'll just like, yeah, sure, I'll sell you a hoodie if you want it. But yeah, so like that was a great and crazy time. I mean, it was like it slowed the world down like long enough for me to like lean into the running thing a little bit more, because the running by itself is, I mean, can just be done, with whatever job you have. But being able to like share some of this story and talk about the journey and possibly inspire other people by like maybe how much I run or how fast I run or whatever the thing you're inspired by is. It's just so much like gratification like in this space, because it could, I mean, I work for me, like I work for, I can say what I want to say. I can tell my story. And in corporate world, it's a little harder to do that, like you're not just like running around telling everybody you used to be, part of the underbelly of Detroit, you don't like, you don't like, that's not part of the narrative or like the conversation. So I just started leaning more into it during COVID, and especially after that. I started Chip Time Running because of COVID and like like you could die any minute, you might as well do what you want to do. But then also Black Lives Matter was very prevalent at the moment in time because of things that were happening then. And I'm like, I need something that like has like my name on it, that's owned by me or us, my family, because like I can't leave my job to my kids. Like I can't, like something happens to me, I can't like say, well, now the both of you guys are the vice president. I didn't think that I was building them anything for them to like ride off into the sunset with, or hand them some billion-dollar company someday. But I did hope that they were old enough to, or eventually old enough to one day see like my dad tried something that was like kind of out the box and different, and it's our thing as a family. So like they know of it. Obviously, they have clothes of their own that were mine, are mine, or whatever. But I definitely lean more now into like the podcasting side, or just the, I don't want to like say influencer thing, but like the just sharing the story, and hopefully other people hear that they're not alone in whatever way there is. And yeah. I came on, just to clarify, I came on your live, and I was dope. I was super excited that you invited me to it. You were the first, I think, interview that I ever did. From the other way around, and it was like a 30-minute thing. You had Elliot Kipchoge. Didn't you guys have Elliot on?
Yeah, we had Elliot Kipchoge.
Yeah. So you had Elliot Kipchoge on, and then I messaged you and said, "Oh, this is dope. I'm next, right?" And then you were like, "Yeah, next week." And I'm like, "Bet." And so we did it. But so like I have to say, like, because I tried to like, that was like the first interview that I did from the running, like the Tommie Runz thing. Like I've done interviews for like my career, before, like in, on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And that's why I always keep the name separate, because there's like a different thing going on there. But I was like, okay, cool. This is about me. This isn't about a company. This is about like my journey or whatever. So 30 minutes went by. I had fun. We laughed. We talked. We kind of talked about the story a little bit. And then we got off the thing. And then I'm like, you know what? If I ever have a chance to do an interview again, I'm going to be fully open with everything. Because I still, on the live with you, I still I was like dodging moments where I could have told more of the truth, or the truth for real. But I just kind of like held it, because I was still in like this corporate like mentality of like, don't share.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, I think, when you're starting or exploring a different side of yourself, to be completely open. You have to, it's almost like you have to test stuff out. But like two of the things that you just brought up that I think are interesting is, one, the concept of like, I don't know that, business is something that my boys will be into or anything like that. But the example that I'm setting, that you don't have to necessarily follow, this formula to get a job, go to this, that, put in your time. What I'm trying to show them is, hey, if you're passionate about something, you love something, you can find a way to make it work for you. And so that's what I'm hoping. Like, it may not be believing the run to them or something like that. It might be that they have an idea of something that would be exciting for their life, and that they would have enough guts and you know, like interest to create something for themselves. And that's something that, like, for your kids, I think you're probably producing for them right now. They get to see. And I do think it's weird in our position. You said you didn't like the term influencer, and I get that, because it kind of is diminishing in a way. It's like, oh, you're just out there for yourself or whatever, and you're hawking product or something like that. When it is a positive, is that you are influencing your kids to see that, you know, you can set a goal, go after it, and do some stuff. So in that tone, you got to be pretty psyched.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think it's just like you said. I think it's like you know, being able to like to do something outside of the box, and being very creative in the way that you go about doing it, and making it yours, and like the way that you want it to, the way you want to be perceived in the world, or the way you want your company to be perceived in the world. But then for them, I think it's like you said, even if you don't hand them Believe in the Run someday, it's like the consistency that your family sees you like pull off day in, day out. I think that's the thing that, you know, a kid or just anyone watching close enough will walk away just being better in general because of it. And it's like, man, if my dad could do this day in, day out and push for it and all this stuff and grow this thing to wherever it's going to grow to be, it's like, I don't know how I'm going to make it to the moon, but I know like maybe consistency will help me get there because he showed me how to do that.
Do you feel like, like, I don't know that I would have felt this way before I started doing marathons. I felt like I followed a plan. I was able to do it. I ran 26.2 miles, and I had this revelation that, like, I'm like, wait a second. Anything I wanted to do, there's a way to get it done. So you could follow. This was a training plan. You follow another plan, you can get something done. Do you feel like running has done that for you? Yeah,
like that's. I actually said like almost exactly that on the Run Your Way panel for New Balance in New York. It's like, because running taught me that, though. Like, I just 100% did not, at one point in life, did not believe that I was like a person that could do any of, not the running part, but just any of like the like deciding to reach for something crazy and then like somehow get there, you know, like. And I think that was like part of the reason why I decided, like, you know, I'm not going to go to college. I'm just going to, you know, find a job and then eventually, you know, choose the harder but easier way in life. Because like people like say like easy streets, like the, you know, the like the street side of it's the easy thing, you know. But that's probably one of the hardest things. Like, and that life taught me a bunch of lessons too that I probably still use to this day. But running, just to get back to the running part, but it's like running your first marathon or doing your first like training block. It's almost incredible, like, if you, like, lay it out and put it all on paper of, like, all the things that you've done, that you did in that 16 weeks or whatever, how many weeks you trained. And then you really just took it backwards. Like, you picked a goal and you're like, I want to finish the marathon. How do I make that happen? And then 16 weeks you dedicated day in, day out to, like, get to that point. And halfway through there, 75% of the way through there, you're like, there's no way I can do this. But somehow, like, it just works out, you know. And I'm like, well, damn it, like, maybe I could start a running company, you know, maybe I could start some, you know, Chip Time Running, maybe I could start a podcast. And the consistency part is what running taught me, because you can almost do anything with enough consistency and, like, and just that drive.
Okay, so I don't think we actually heard how did you get into running in the first place?
Oh, so in 2017, I went sober, or chose the sober life in January 2017. And then, like, almost immediately was like, what?
I just heard like Malcolm X. I didn't choose the sober life. The sober life chose me.
Right. No, like, almost for real, though. But like, no, it was like, not to get like dark or whatever, but it was like I mean, I knew that I had like a really, drinking and I like hit it off very early, like, and we were best friends, you know, like for a long time. And then like that relationship just got like very sour over time, and I just didn't have the power to like stop doing it, you know. And it was definitely one of those things where like even when I would try to stop for like a little bit, it was like oh, I can do 7 days, but I'd last for 3 or 2 or whatever. So it was like it was just a tough moment in time for me, and I was just trying my best to figure it out. But one day, like, I think I just decided to like tell the truth, and I, ended up telling the truth to, like there's like an employee assistance program, EAP. So I decided to call them, and because I wanted to talk to someone about it, and I finally told the truth to that person that kind of like interviewed me over the phone to figure out who I would talk to. And then they got me a therapist who was like a marriage counselor / more heavily into like the addiction therapy. And told her the truth, and then she ended up getting me to like suggesting that I go to an AA meeting with a guy that she also provided services for, for therapy services for. So I ended up doing that anyway. So like fast forward a bit, like I'm sober for like a couple months, and I'm like, I don't even like the way I don't like the way I look anymore. I don't like the way I feel. I got to do something about this. So I started going to the gym, lifting weights, I was going to say I lost weight, but I ended up gaining weight because of like muscle and stuff like that. But I kind of cleaned up my life a lot in that first year of sobriety. And then someone that as a client of mine said, hey, if you want to run the rock and roll half marathon in Chicago with us as a company, we know you're fit, you could do it. 13 miles isn't that bad. And raise some money for this company this organization called Move for Hunger. So I just said, sure, I'll do it, and ended up training a little bit, like thought training was just me running more often, and fast forward to like the finish line in Chicago. It was like I crossed this finish line, and, like I had been proud of myself, like in my career, helping a company grow, and had 2 kids at that point. So I should be happy. I mean, I was very happy and proud of them when they were born and stuff like that, but crossing the finish line in Chicago was just such a drastic change from like everything that I had ever experienced for myself. It's arguably one of like the happiest moments of my life, more proudest moments of my life. So like I cried at the end of it and everything. It was just like, what's going on? I was a mess, but I'm like, whatever this is, I like it. So like I kind of recovered for a little bit.
I know what you're talking about there, and I don't want to gloss over that first finish. Mm-hmm. But like it is for me, and it sounds like it was for you, it was so outside of where you would see yourself that I almost felt like a parent to a child when I crossed the finish line of the marathon to myself, that I was like, hey, I'm proud of you. Like you did this. Is that the type of emotional feeling you had? Like, I did something outside of expectations.
Yeah, the parent to the child thing, that was actually really good. It was like a disconnect. Like it was like I was like watching myself like finish. You know what I mean? It was almost like knowing that you just crossed over it into like some different thing, without really knowing how to like put a finger on it. And it's like you're watching yourself change in front of yourself, for like a lack of better words. But it was just incredible. Like and it was just like, I don't know what this is. I don't know. In hindsight, I mean, I know 13 miles is a long way to run, but I mean, in hindsight, it's not like that to me. Like, it's still like not that long of a thing to like be this proud of. And that's why I was like, it's only 13 miles, but why are you so proud? And I didn't understand why, but I think it's like, it was probably the longest stretch of just like me talking to myself over and over, like, you can do this, you're fine, you're going to be okay. Because normally, like, and there's just more like quicker moments when you just try to push through. Like lifting weights is like, you could go, lift your heaviest rep ever. But it was only like maybe 5 to 10 seconds of your life, whether you're getting ready to lay down on the bench and then just push through and you're done. You're happy, but to be running for maybe 10 miles of that 13, you're just like, I don't know what's going on. I've never done this before. You're running with so many other people that also have like the same goal as you. It's just an overwhelming experience, bro. And it's like, it was the craziest feeling. And now that I get to cross more and more finish lines, I always have to try to remember too, like, of how special it really is that we're all doing this same thing, no matter the times.
Do you still tear up sometimes at a finish line?
I get emotional at some of the starts. I think Boston, I got super emotional like both times I was there. And the second last year or this year for Boston, I was too dizzy to be like emotional. So like I just like finished and then moved on with life. But yeah, I still get super emotional just like around the concept of like, what we're about to do and how much work everybody puts into like even just getting to the start line. Cause I mean, honestly, like running a marathon, and if you've done like a training block for it, it's like one day. It's all this stuff leads up to one day, and that's a lot. That's a lot to like to think about and like feel all in one moment when you're about to start a race or finish it.
Yeah, I still get like when I cross the finish line, just that relief and coming through and know that you finished. Like I can still get like a little emotional.
How long did it take you after that first 13.1 to sign up for your first marathon?
I think it was a little bit because I took some time off because I had a stress fracture in my foot because I was running in like the worst shoes possible. Leading up to the race. I think I still have them, but they're like too far for me to show you. But they were like the like Adidas Pharrell like shoes with like barely any laces in them. They were like just like little floppy
Humans?
shoes. Yeah. The first ones though, like the ones that were, I think they were even before Humans. They were just like some collab he did with them. But they were not running shoes at all. I don't care what Adidas website said at the time.
Do you feel like if you could go back to yourself when you ran that race and be like, "What are you doing? What are you doing, kid?"
Yeah, I wish I knew more then. Melissa's like, hey, if you can run a 3:15 ish, I think that we could work with you down to break 3:05. So we trained up as much as we could, and I ended up running 3:13:30.
Nice.
And that was my first marathon in Detroit, and was super happy about it. So we're like, okay, it's time to get to training and try to see what we can do. I plan to run in Glass City marathon in Toledo, Ohio. It was scheduled to be the 20th in 2020. But obviously the pandemic came along, so I think I was super ready to try to qualify for Boston for the first time in the second marathon. But COVID had a different plan. Everything shut down forever. Then my next shot at another marathon after that was same race, Glass City, in 2021, and that's where I originally qualified for Boston. I ran 2:48:38 or something like that.
That was your second marathon? Was it 2:48?
Yeah.
Whoa, dude.
Well, I mean, like
Casual.
I had that whole year of like just like training with no, end in sight. I got hurt during, I was out for 4 months from July 2020 to November 2020, and that's when I started like really pushed into Chip Time Running, and that's when I launched the Run Eat Sleep show. So it was a good time, I used the time wisely, I guess, but I had a lot of time to like train and think and get ready for the next one. So it doesn't feel like that was my second marathon because I had run so many miles like in 2020, but
Yeah.
that was the one.
Okay, so once you hit that BQ time and you go, I assume you run Boston.
You
Is
did.
that your next?
We were there.
Is that your next race though?
Yeah, actually that was like, so I was definitely not in the run marathons to have fun or run multiple ones. I thought like I was like approaching it like oh, you gotta focus on this one race, like as if that really matters or whatever. So I didn't do anything between the qualifying date until the next year, Boston. I got hurt like 5-6 weeks before 2020 Boston, and tried to like dial back all the miles and try to like save my body for like my leg really to see like how long I could like last in Boston. Turned out to be a terrible experience.
Oh no.
But like I kind of knew it going in, and so I ended up like signing up for or like going with brands to do a bunch of different little things like activations over that weekend.
And that was the thing, like from an outsider perspective, I was watching that one and I was like, he's doing too much.
Yeah.
He's doing too much before the race. It's not going to be a good race for him if he's like, you were everywhere that weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, I hoped that I was going to have a good day, but I knew what my leg felt like walking, so I'm like, this isn't, there's almost no way this plays out other than this flares up. I just didn't know how long how long I'd be able to like last without it really bothering me. So I kind of I'm going all the way to Boston. I felt like I had a lot of attention at the moment. Brands asked if I wanted to do things, so I just said yes. Yeah, sure. As long as they didn't affect each other or clash, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And it was with brands that I cared about too. It was, UCAN, I had a panel and it was a really great opportunity. I was on panel with Meb, Emma Bates, and Emily Sisson. And I'm not gonna say no to that. And ASICS invited us to do a shakeout on a Friday, and then I was able to do our show at the ASICS house at night, and then I was on the Tracksmith panel. So it was a lot going on, and it was all really great stuff. But I kind of took all that knowing that it just wasn't going to be the day that I think I wanted,
So now that you've been through that, when you do have a big goal race,
you had a whole redemption tour.
I know, but are you saying no to brands to make sure that you are resting and stuff like that? Are you taking that into consideration?
Yeah, I definitely am. I'm trying to balance both of them to be honest still, because it's
yeah.
It's part of, so going into Boston, I thought that I didn't have a big following at all. I still don't compared to so many, but it's going into Boston, I thought that people really cared about the fact that I BQ'd and the speed, I guess, or the times. But
sure.
Before race day even, I got so much feedback about sobriety and mental health and being black in the space and representation and all these different things that the people thought I represented.
And you left out vegan.
Yeah, vegan, yeah. But no one mentioned no one mentioned speed, before they're oh, you're so fast.
Right.
They might have, but it was just kind of in passing. And then I didn't run well, or in my mind I didn't, and no one cared. The world didn't fall apart. It was what it was, and so going into every race weekend that's a bigger, a major or whatever, I'm trying to find that balance of how do I do what I guess I'm really doing this for? I have my own selfish, I want to PR, I want to run well, I want to do this, I want to reach this goal and that goal. But part of the reason why I get to go to New York, with New Balance as opposed to out of pocket is because of, I guess, what I represent to some people. So some people. So who am I to not take some of those opportunities to to share the story or show up to one of the biggest shakeout ever and meet people and shake hands. You know what I mean? Honestly, it's what am I gonna go sit in my hotel room and go? I gotta preserve myself to go not run OTQ. I'm not running 217.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question there. So you just said represent. Mm-hmm. What do you want? What is it that, not what you think people see you as, or what what you think a brand might want you to represent. What do you want to represent in the running space?
Man, I guess it's a lot though. I feel like I want to represent. I guess I think I want to represent the possibility of dedication and consistency, in any form, because I'm very aware that I'm black in a white space, a predominantly white space, and I'm aware that me sharing my sobriety helps other people, but I think that the only way that we stay sober and change our lives or stay running and change our lives or grow the sport when it comes to BIPOC folks is through more and more of us in whatever those pillars are is dedicating ourselves to not an end goal, so to speak, but just dedicating ourselves to like the process and just showing up every day and whatever that is. That's the only way we like succeed in all of those things that we want, you know? So it's kind of like a vague thing. I don't know. I think, to be honest, like sometimes I don't really know like what people follow me for, you know, like I think I make fun content, you know, and I think I try my best to like inspire a little bit by telling my truth, even through like this like little moments of like a hard workout or something like that. When I first walked into that, like the first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, it was like I don't, not to sound like super dramatic, but I don't think that I would be here, like alive still, unless the people in that room shared their stories, like truthfully, you know, because I walked into a room knowing that I was not going to relate to anyone there, but every single person that shared that before it was my turn, like literally said exactly how I felt and thought about my life and about alcohol and about just stuff. And then that, like, before it even got to be my turn and for me to share or to say my name and that I'm an alcoholic, it was like I knew for sure that those were my people, you know? And so when I got off of that live with you, that first time, Thomas, I was so disappointed in myself, you know, like, because I had this opportunity to share, you know, and possibly for whatever reason, whether it was, I mean, who cares why someone connected, you know, it doesn't matter, but it was a moment for me to possibly share something like that with other people outside of the alcoholic community, or the sober community. And I didn't do it. And so I told myself, like, if I ever have an opportunity to interview as me again, I'm going to do it all the way. And so from that day forward, I did. And that's what I try to do in every single moment. And
so you're saying I got the crappy one?
Just to, yeah, you got the worst one actually.
Fuck.
But like, I think honestly, so like on a deeper answer to kind of like maybe answer you more, I think it's, I think whatever it is my goal is to make people know that they're not alone in whatever they're feeling.
Yeah.
And
I mean, when we started talking, Tommie, and I remember, you know, I looked at that time, you know, Rick Roll. I always get it wrong. It's Rich Roll, right?
Rich, yeah.
Yeah, I want to Rick Roll him. Rich Roll. You know, Rich Roll, I felt like he had this space of ultras and interviewing people, and you were very clear that he was sober, that he'd gone through a tough time, that he was also a vegan. And I saw a lot of parallels between what you were trying to accomplish and what he had already accomplished. And I just saw it almost like a natural pairing. But what I did see was like the difference in the people that you could reach. And I think that we do look towards people that look similar to us. Or, you know, you even brought up with golf. When your mom got into golf, you said it was the time of Tiger Woods and everything like that. But, you know, we don't want to say that we see color or that we're totally non-biased by, you know, color, gender, sex, you know, all that stuff. But when you see somebody that you can see yourself as, or doesn't feel so foreign or alien to you, and you see them covering things that maybe you were too afraid to either attempt or to explore and stuff like that, it's powerful. And, you know, do you feel that is something that you want to lean into, or is it something you want people to ignore and just be like, I'm an individual, see me as an individual? Or do you want to be a beacon of, hey, I could do this, you could do this too, and we're similar?
Yeah, I think yes, I would like to be a. I don't like speaking as if I represent a group of people, because no one like hired me and asked me to do that, so I just won't. But I know that when I speak about certain things, that I know that there's sets of people that hear and feel what I'm saying just inherently because we grew up the same or just have to go through the same thoughts or feelings in America or whatever, you know? So I don't want to speak for anyone, but I do want people to see whatever they see in me, you know, because I'm sharing as much as I possibly can. I want people to grab onto any of that and go like, yeah, I can do that too, you know? And if that means, and then I talk about sobriety a lot, you know, and that doesn't mean like, and I'm not preaching anything. Like, you know, it's not like, I'm not like, hey, everybody should be this way. You know, like that's not the thing. So if that's not your bag, and like, I know that you and I like are cool. I'm not saying that you're crazy, but we've been in the same place before, and you drink and that's fine. And it's no issue, but we connect on something different, and that's perfect. You know, like we all have so many layers, and I try to show as many of those. And if people gravitate towards one of those things or multiple of those things, then great. You know, and I think that like when you brought up Rich Roll, it's not very often that there's someone that like checks off a bunch of the boxes for you. And he did like with the running and sobriety and vegan thing. And I was all those things before, you know, even like finding out about his book and the podcast and all that stuff. So that was really great to like have that. And even at that time, he was just such a large figure in all these different spaces that it was like almost impossible for me to even think that like maybe I'd end up having like
a spot.
You know, a relationship, you know, or even he was almost unreachable, you know. And I feel like,
and you did end up meeting him at the running event, didn't you?
Yeah. So I met him, like, you know, I've reached out to him about like, I've asked him questions before about different things, and he's been helpful, and so that's really cool. But you know, for me at this point, I know that I'm much closer to people than he was when I came across a book, you know. So I want to be whatever that is for a bunch of different people, you know. And like I said, if that's sobriety, or if it's just running in general, or it's like depression, or it's like, you know, being black in the space, or like having all the cards stacked against you, or you're recovering from a terrible decision that you made in the past that you've paid for, you know, like I just want to be that light for someone.
I love that. And yeah, I think you do a really great job of sharing like all the layers you're talking about. Like, I think we get a little bit of everything from you, which is awesome. So yeah, appreciate you sharing all that. I know we were getting really deep here, but can we lighten it up just a tiny bit? Cause I have shoe questions.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I think we covered the deep end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tommy, you want to tell me something else? Let's get.
So,
Tommy has just decided to move to Nebraska and start a goat farm. No, yeah.
All right, let's go down the lineup. So, what is the favorite daily trainer right now?
Ooh, favorite daily trainer I think is actually the New Balance Supercomp Trainer V2.
Okay, so you prefer that over V1?
Yes.
It has a little more
for some reason
punch in it.
Yeah, I feel like it rolls better. Yeah.
Okay, favorite tempo day shoe.
Dang, that was a good one. I don't know.
See, I feel like this is a hard one because if you really love
we use race shoes.
Working,
so
yeah, and I feel like it's such a hard category for the running shoe industry. I know we need it, but like I usually jump from daily trainer to race day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't have any. I don't have a shoe that's like right in the middle. I don't. You know. Yeah, it's either a race day, it's a carbon plated shoe, or it's like, or it's a carbon plated shoe, recovery shoe.
Yeah.
Okay, so race day, you're running a marathon tomorrow. You're not working with any brands. You can run in anything. What is it?
Vaporfly 1 or 2.
Ah.
Vaporfly 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Oh, What's wrong with the 3?
I love the 3.
I think that the 3 is great and more comfortable, and I feel like the 1 or 2 are more aggressive.
Okay, and no Alpha Fly?
So I was never really a fan. I think that I was just I think I was just so in love with the Vaporfly 1 that like I had a hard time like buying the hype of the Alpha Fly 1. I ran Chicago last year in it. No complaints about him, but I'm like, to me, and maybe my cadence and my like form or something, I just felt like the Vaporfly suits me more. I haven't put my foot in the Alpha Fly 2. I know you're such a big fan of the Alpha Fly 2, Megan. But I've never ran an Alpha Fly 2, but I'm very excited to possibly maybe even just touch the Alpha Fly 3. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's coming pretty soon.
Quick question for you on that subject, though. All right, before we get into running, we all have like brands that we're hyped on, the brands that were cool when you were growing up, that kind of thing. Where did you land on what you thought was the coolest brand coming into running before you started trying all these?
Nike, of course. I mean, so yeah, Nike for sure. I mean, because like growing up, like if it wasn't okay, like yeah. I'm not sure what other communities do. You know, like I only grew up in one for real, but like in the black community, like it's like Nike or maybe Adidas. Maybe.
Are you kidding? Run DMC,
bro.
I mean,
that's too long ago, bro. You know, I'm talking about,
okay, fair enough. There's a little bit of an age gap between us, man. Like Beastie Boys, Run DMC, all of that stuff. Adidas, 3 Stripes. That was up there. Like, Jordan changed the game. Jordan even wanted Adidas at the time, but he ended up going with Nike.
But I mean, like it was like, so it's either Jordans or Nikes, you know, like, and even with the Nikes, you have to be careful which ones you put on. You can't just like wear any Nike. It's not like openly acceptable just to like just peruse like the factory store and grab any one. You got to get the Air Force Ones, or you got to have like Air Maxes of some sort, or like, you know, like I just didn't see anybody like walk around with shell toes. Like, you know, that wasn't the vibe, bro. But so yeah, coming into the sport, I'm like, of course Nike. And one of the things that like I really like about the shoe industry right now is like in the last couple of years, it's like they're starting to bring some of that lifestyle like flair and color and flavor to their running shoes, or at least their daily trainers for sure. Because I think like the first shoes that I got handed when I walked into like a running store, you know, if I just couldn't be seen in them, you know?
Nah.
Like I'd be laughed at.
I mean, originally, before I started reviewing shoes, I went to the shoe store and I said, what can I wear that I will be okay wearing when I'm not running? And it was tough. Like the shoes were so, it's weird now because like Gel Light 3s and all that stuff are popular, and all the shoes with the metallic overlays and the mesh, you know, the open mesh are in style now, back from Asics of the old days, and even New Balance. And those shoes were so hideous when I was running that
some of them still are.
Yeah.
Just for some reason, everyone thinks it's okay to wear now.
It's funny, when I first met Megan, she wanted a pair of trail shoes because they looked cool. And I was like, those are going to hurt your feet. And she's like, I don't care. They look cool. And guess what they did?
Yeah.
They gave her a blister.
Yeah. I did not know.
She had to go get new shoes.
Okay. Shoes we covered. Races. Remind me of your PR and where it was.
2:46:59 in Boston, 2023.
That's right. We were at the finish together.
Yes.
But
you were there?
We were there together.
Man, I was so out of it in the last 2 miles of that course. Like my vision was getting more narrow.
That's what we ran together. We ran the last couple of miles together. You were in another land.
Yeah, I remember being with you for a little bit, but then I don't know what happened after that. I don't even know how I made it to the finish, actually.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, me too.
Well, what is the next big race for you?
Next big race, I guess like
any race.
Okay, so next race is a half marathon I'm going to do in Orlando in early December. So like a month from now, what am I thinking? What are we doing here? Why am I like this? But yeah, I'm gonna be doing that. I'm actually gonna be going to Japan next year.
Nice.
Haven't announced that yet.
You going with Mizuno?
I guess I just did. Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Gonna do Osaka and probably Tokyo.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
You're gonna be there for a couple months.
Yeah. It's only 7 days apart.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did realize that.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hit them both.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna be all the way over there, so I might as well stay.
It's pretty cool.
I can't wait.
All right, so I'm going to assume, I was going to say, what are you most excited for in 2024, but I'm guessing we just talked about it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most exciting thing in 2024 so, right, at the moment for sure. I mean, going to Japan is just going to be amazing by itself if I could just be there for a little while anyway by itself. But to be able to go run, and have some fun and have some great adventures and experiences. That's I'm really excited about that. But I think 2024 is going to be a great year for me and in the team.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think there's some cool stuff happening with brands, and I think it's going to be a good year for the running community in general.
All right, what do you got? What
good.
are both of you guys most excited about though?
I don't know. There's a lot still up in the air, so I don't know what to get excited about yet.
Yeah. I mean, we're still just trying to get through 2023.
I know. I'm like, can we get through next week? You know that meme or whatever where they're like, I just keep telling myself I need to get through next week, and then everything will calm down.
Yeah.
It's that every week.
Yeah, I know. Like you're like, what you said about 20. I'm really excited about like in the next 30 days. Like the next 30 days really is going to be great too. So it's like we got to get through this first.
Yeah, we're going to see you at the running event. You're actually doing something cool there. This is the first time it's ever happened.
Live streaming the running event.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So
Dude,
like,
yes.
What does that even mean?
I looked at your schedule, dude. Man, that looks tougher than a marathon.
Yeah, I'm gonna be taking what is it, like ketones and like pre-workouts and like I'm gonna be popping UCAN and eating like Morton soup, all that.
Hey, I love the ketone crew at New York, man. You can see who's getting the sponsor. They're doing shots of it everywhere.
Yeah,
but I won't say anything about it. But we talked to Feathers about that stuff. You I don't know.
Okay,
I hit
so
her. I actually hit her up
and asked her about it.
Yeah, I hit her up, and she didn't say anything bad, but she was just like, well, and then she gave me some resources or whatever. So I'm like, okay, it's not gonna kill me. I'll take a couple more shots and see what happens.
Okay, so before we wrap up here, tell everyone how can they tune into the live stuff at TRE?
So I mean, it's the live stream for TRE will be on live streamed like through TRE's website. Like, so I think it's therunningevent.com. Or just follow, PR Project. That's at the.pr.project on Instagram, and we'll just kind of keep informing folks. But like the concept of it is like to bring the kind of a closed event that TRE is to the public a little bit, because like you guys and everybody else does like this amazing job of like covering it and bringing people like some of those sneak peeks and really like going in depth on each shoe, that why people should be excited about what's coming out kind of down the road. And I just felt like there's like a small like opening there to like provide some more like buzz and energy around like what everyone is there doing. Cause like whether it's media, retailers or brands, everyone's end consumer or end user is like the consumer that's buying the shoes. So like, why not help get the consumers excited about like what's next? Like, how to kind of get them to like say, okay, well, I know that this is going to be in my local retailer sometime soon because I saw it or whatever. And we're going to have Thomas is too busy. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it onto the show or not, but I would definitely want to have Thomas on the show. I'm going to
try to swing it. We really are.
Yeah.
Like it's been like it's funny because when we first started going there was nobody there. And the shoe companies didn't have time to talk to me because they were writing orders, because it was when they wrote their orders for business. So I was like a nuisance. And now there's like 20 people like me walking around trying to get it. So it really has become like a business trip for us, where we're just like booked in. So I know I've been vague with it, but like, I'm going to pop by and cause havoc every once in a while just to be a punk.
Yeah, so it should. I mean, it should be really cool. And it was like, that was one of my biggest things. It was like I want to make sure I include like my friends in because without you guys, I mean, no one would even know it. Not no one would know, but it would just have remained this thing that like no one can really get hype about, and or care for real. But it's like, what other way can we like make this more accessible, slightly more accessible for like the normal person to be kind of excited about and pumped? And because obviously we're not going to have time to like, when it's brands are stopping by, brands and retailers will stop on the show and talk about what they're excited about, what they're dropping that can be shown and stuff like that. But it's like 10-minute spots if that. So it's not, we're not going to be able to cover like details and stuff like that. It's just about like the vibe and the energy and creating the buzz and keeping it going. So we're really excited about it.
And you're booked from open to close.
Yeah, so it's like we're getting 4 hours a day, two sets of 4 hours, 2 hours. Well, I don't even know how to say it every time I mess it up. But we're getting some time. It's 8 hours total for over the 2 days. And it's just
this is why I don't understand how
it'll just be really fun.
This is how I don't understand how you don't drink though. Like that.
It's like, yo, give me a drink. Yeah, like I think that
I need to turn it off.
Like, like the way that I would have like approached that like would be, I wouldn't be able to do this if I still drank, like, so it was like it's like an all or nothing vibe. But we're really excited about it, and we're gonna stream it, and I like whatever we can do to get to like fit within your schedule and have you like stop over, bro. It would mean so much because like we met for real, like through like one of the Falmouth trips, with all you guys. And that was like at a time for sure I was like, I don't think I might have even told you like, bro, what am I doing here, like, and
I feel that every trip, by the way.
Yeah,
right.
That way.
Like even at the shakeout, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. That might have been that might have been the most, I wouldn't say like, not timid isn't the word, but like the most downplayed version of you, was that Saturday shakeout in New York. Like, cause I could tell like you weren't like, you were yourself, but you just seemed like you were kind of like watching it, and
I was, dude.
Like,
I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, you were not, because with the smaller, like, I've seen you do shakeouts before, I've seen you do your thing, but all of you really, it just seemed like you guys were all just kind of like, is this happening, and
Dude,
it just seemed crazy. It was so fun, so crazy.
It's also surreal because it's like all the people I love watching on the gram and seeing doing stuff. I'm like fanning out myself. I'm like, these are people that I have fun experiencing running with, and they're here. We're all together. It's like, I know it sounds corny as anything, but it's just so fun to just like be together. Yeah. Like we're a moment in time. We are a part. Who knows how long this stuff will last? And I felt like this was a big day with everybody. So I loved it.
No, it was super fun, and I'm so glad that that you thought to include me in it, and it was just a really great time, and it was just all love from every angle in that place. It was amazing.
Definitely, I feel it.
All right, Tommie, we've taken enough of your time today. I very much appreciate you coming on and chatting with us and all of our technical difficulties today. And yeah, we can't wait to see you soon in Austin. And keep doing what you're doing.
All right, bud.
All right, man. Thanks so much.